بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
The story of Musa ﷺ is one that's filled with challenges, uncertainty, and change. The beauty of it lies within the wisdom. So life, just in general, is full of challenges, uncertainty, and change. Whether it's getting a new job, a new school, responsibilities, or personal struggles, all of these challenges often bring fear and anxiety, and it makes us feel overwhelmed and alone. The messages from Musa ﷺ and Islam, in its holistic approaches of healing, teaches us that fear is a natural emotion that requires tools and skills to overcome them. It also teaches us that emotions can be managed when we trust in Allah and lean on the supports around us. Let's look at the story of Prophet Musa ﷺ. So imagine being told that you have to go to a place that you're most afraid of, and to face a person who has so much power over you and has reason to harm you. That was the reality of Musa ﷺ. When he fled from Egypt after unintentionally killing a man, and Fir'aun, the most powerful ruler, wants to put him on trial. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands him to return to deliver his message. Not only is he delivering the message of the oneness of Allah, Musa ﷺ is telling Fir'aun that you are not the most powerful and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most powerful. So Musa ﷺ was afraid. He's scared. He has to go face this ruler. He knows he ran away. He knows he unintentionally killed someone, but he has to go face this ruler. So what's the first thing Musa ﷺ says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He doesn't ask, okay, can you make this a little bit, like an easier one? Let's step into this. No. Musa ﷺ from Surah Taha says, رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. What does he say? My Lord, expand my chest, ease my task for me, and untie the knot from my tongue so that people may understand what I'm saying. So what do we get from this? Musa ﷺ knows his limitations. He had a speech impediment, and he asks Allah for something specific. Untie this knot from my tongue so that people can understand me. So he knows his task. He knows the task is he needs to speak and he needs to get through to people. So he knows his confidence in his speaking abilities. He has a little bit of lower self-confidence there. So he asks specifically for that. This dua teaches us when we face challenges, we should turn to Allah first for strength, confidence, and clarity. And that's first and foremost. So what does Musa ﷺ do next? The next thing he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he doesn't just ask him for strength. He doesn't just ask him for increased iman and says, okay, this increased iman, this is going to be great. He asks for support. Who does he ask for support? In Surah Taha as well, verse 29 to 32. وَاجْعَلْ لِي وَزِيرًا مِّنْ أَهْلِي هَارُونَ أَخِي أَشْدُدْ بِهِ أَزِيرًا. So what does he ask here? He says, he requests assistance from his own family. And he's even more specific. Harun akhi, my brother Harun. So that he can increase my strength, so I can increase my strength through him. So he's asking for support here. This shows us that even the prophets ﷺ, they needed help. And seeking support in times of fear isn't weakness. And he was afraid. So he didn't ask for help just because, he didn't know what to do. He was afraid. But it's not a weakness, it's actually wisdom. So seeking support in times of fear from Allah is strength. Having people by your side really makes that challenge much easier. And this is something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now we want to bridge this gap and connect. So how do we establish these new habits of seeking help and making dua and asking Allah for specifics of what we want? And when we face these challenges in our life, what do? How do we establish these habits? Ramadan is the best time to do that. Why? Ramadan builds habits. It helps us handle these challenges. It's a month of discipline, self-reflection, and spiritual growth. And so with every prayer that we do, with every fast, every time we break fast, this is where we can incorporate that dua and making a list of people that we know that can be supportive for us. Here's 3 habits that we can establish in Ramadan just to help us manage fear and uncertainty in our life. So one is turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with dua and trust in Allah. So just as Musa alayhi salam turned to Allah in fear, we should make dua regularly, especially in sujood and before breaking fast. Allah will grant inshallah our dua just before we break fast. But carry this into the year to come, because those challenges are not going to stop. And so before you eat, whenever you make sujood, the same thing. Make a habit of reciting Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. What does that mean? Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. So whenever fears arise, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. So number two is building that emotional strength through patience and gratitude. So fasting teaches us patience, and patience helps us deal with difficulties in our life. It gives us time to think through things. It actually allows us to tap into our emotional brain and give that time and see what's coming up for us. It also allows us to tap into our logical brain. So getting used to that patience, like thinking before we're actually acting, that allows us to have that gratitude to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that patience also comes from think to yourself, repeating something to yourself over and over again helps you believe it. So that's why we have dhikr and we have tasbih. But if you think to yourself, this too shall pass, and Allah is with the patient, inna Allah ma'as sabirin. Nothing stays the same, and the only constant in life is change. So the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always be there. Number three, seeking support and strengthening relationships. It's really critical to use Ramadan. Allah gives you this time to reconnect with family and to reconnect with friends who uplift you and who provide you feedback and support. So if you're struggling with a personal challenge, don't hesitate to seek help. Remember that seeking help from trusted loved ones or professionals is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is the wisdom of it. Make sure you know your resources. What resources do you have available to you? Know who is equipped to help you with specific challenges. And so ask yourself, who do you know who can provide you support? And what resources do you know that can help you tap into professional help? And so finally, just putting it all together, know that fear and anxiety are natural. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in us. Fear of the unknown, fear of change are all a part of life, and it'll continue to happen. But as I mentioned earlier, change is the only constant in life, but faith and support make them manageable. Ramadan is the opportunity to build habits that will help us face life's difficulties with strength and resilience. So always make that dua, inna Allah ma'as sabirin. Oh Allah, grant us ease in our struggles, expand our hearts with courage, and bless us with the right support to face life's challenges. So on a personal level, to show you how I've connected Musa alayhi salam's story to my personal life, I struggled with and had many challenges along the way of finishing my degree. And I just kept turning to Allah and saying, make this easy for me. I had children when I finished my degree, so I had to raise a family, I had a husband, I had a household. And I would say Musa's dua all the time. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. And my dream was to just finish my bachelor's. Once I finished that, subhanAllah, Allah made it so much easier for me. And I completed my master's a year later. And so alhamdulillah, using these examples from the Quran is not just a story, it's how we can tap into ourselves and use it to help us move forward in life.